Now, people don't stop watching a video because it's long. They stop watching because they get bored. They stop watching because it's not relevant to them. They stop watching because it's not connecting with them. So if you've done the right research, you're telling a story that's relevant, you've got a creative character that's going to connect with people, and you're going to be able to keep that attention long enough to give them more information, which will ultimately lead to higher sales conversions.
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no-bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Troyer, and welcome to another episode of Show Me the Nuggets. Today, we have a real pleasure, a real treat. We have on Joseph Wilkins on, who is going to be talking with us and sharing with us how to create sales videos that literally get millions of views and drive millions of dollars in sales. Joseph, you're from Utah, is that correct?
Originally, I'm from London, but I've lived in Utah for about 20 years now.
I thought I recognized that accent. I got a business partner in the UK as well. But man, welcome officially to the show. We're pleased to have you.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
So I know that you have quite the background with creating all types of different videos, and I don't think I could probably do justice kind of walking through that background, but could you kind of really high level share with everybody like how you stumbled into this crazy internet world and got into video?
Yeah, sure. So I went to college originally to study. I studied graphic design. I've always kind of been creative. My dad was a photographer, and I thought that was my career path. And this is 20 years ago, before the internet really supported video, at least for the main guy on the street. And so my first job was just a graphic designer, and it was at a chance meeting that the boss basically said, "Hey, we need to produce some videos. Let's send the graphic designer off to some video production courses." This was back before the days of YouTube when you can just learn anything that you wanted. So I went out to Pasadena. It was actually lynda.com had like this physical meeting, and it was a really inspiring weekend conference, and that basically was the catalyst. And then I started doing video production for them, and other clients saw that work and asked me, "Hey, can you do this on the side?" And so I basically became a freelance video producer from my basement. And one day my wife basically said, "Pick a job. You're working during the day and then nights, as most of us entrepreneurs have been at some point." So 20 years ago, I left my corporate job and started Pro Creative Studios, which is still around today. It's just a video production studio. And our very first project was the Little Giant Ladder infomercial.
Okay.
That project did over $200 million in sales. Just blew my mind. And it gave me the taste of what, could be done with a really good video in front of a very big audience. Now, we were only one of 3 production companies on that project. We were a very small part, but it gave me the taste. So for the next 15 years, that's what we focused on, was television advertising, both long form and short form, and also sales videos for the web. And we've worked with companies, some of the biggest brands on the planet. I mean, Google, LinkedIn, Chevrolet, McDonald's, Goldman Sachs. We've worked for all of those guys.
Wow.
But the big problem really started, over a decade ago, when people started getting TiVo and DVRs. And of course, nowadays, we're all on Netflix and Hulu. I don't know about you, but I can't remember the last time I watched real TV. Maybe for sports and live news if something crazy is happening in the world. But, I don't even have cable myself. And so our clients started seeing the negative results of that. They're still paying the same amount of money to produce these ads, and their results are just going down and down and down. And so it came to a head about 5 years ago when our clients basically said, we can't afford to keep doing this. We've got to figure out some other way to advertise. And like I said, we'd been doing some videos for YouTube and websites, but nothing that really ever got any traction like the viewership that we used to get on TV. And so it's kind of funny. Up until that point, anytime somebody said to us, hey, we want to do a funny video, we would say, no, that's not what we do. Because you've got to do it right. Nothing's worse than a silly video that looks like you're trying to be funny, but just doesn't hit it.
Yep.
You end up looking silly. And so we'd always been aware that we knew that there were companies out there like the Harmon brothers are our
Yep.
kind of the flagship that did these huge videos that literally transformed companies with one video.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have the skills to do that. And so I spent a while assembling a team of really good comedy writers and creative writers, and we can talk about how your listeners can do the same thing in a minute. But after really putting an effort into saying, okay, I think this is the way of the future, because people are watching these videos on entertainment platforms. They're watching them on Facebook, they're watching them on YouTube, on Instagram. And the whole reason why they're there in the first place isn't to be sold, it's to be entertained. So the closer that you can make your content look like the reason that they've come, i.e. entertainment, the more you'll connect with them. So to give you a compare and contrast, before we launched funny sales videos about 4 or 5 years ago, our biggest video that we'd ever got online was about 100,000 views on YouTube, which we thought was pretty good. Our very first campaign after we launched funny sales videos and using my new team of really creative writers, it was a very small company with a very niche audience, and between 3 videos we got 7 million views, drove over $500,000 in sales, and we said, okay, we're on to something. So fast forward to today, 4 years later, our biggest campaign is close to 100 million views over a number of videos, and more importantly has generated millions and millions and millions of dollars in revenue. And that's pretty much all we do these days, is the funny sales videos, because they just work way more effectively than anything that I've done in 20 years.
That's awesome, man. That's really exciting, and thank you for the backstory and bringing us up to speed. I love like the funny sales videos, right? I just plugged your brand, right? But great name. I love like what the Harmon brothers do. I love like the Poopery. What's the beard company? Like that, just some great videos. And I think you're right that you got to meet the viewer where they're at,
Totally.
right? You made that point, and it's so important. Like you got to understand the mindset, and you got to give them what they want. So if they're coming for funny and for entertainment, and we're hitting them with, buy our razors, they're buy one get one, or buy our room spray. I mean, it's so flat. Why would you ever buy from a company like that? So love the transition, love the story. I'd love if you could share with us like what you think are some of the key things to making these videos like really blow up after running. I'm sure got to be hundreds of campaigns. I'm sure you've identified what are some of the things, or what are some of the key things you got to make sure you nail, or they just don't really fly off the shelves.
Well, maybe now would be a good time to pull back the curtain and reveal the ugly secret to what we do, and other agencies like the Harmon brothers and other similar agencies have publicly stated these videos are not organic views, right? So if they weren't fueled by paid ads, there are no videos out there that have tens of millions of views that organically went viral, other than silly cat videos and celebrity videos. But that's a completely different topic. We're talking about sales videos. YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, they are sophisticated enough to be able to detect if you're a brand and if you're trying to make money. They're going to treat that video completely different. You will never go organically viral. So what you're really trying to do, and what we do, is we are creating videos that will replace what our clients are currently running on Google, Facebook ad, whatever the platform is, with a goal of doubling their return on their ad spend that they're currently getting. So don't think about funny sales videos as organically viral videos that you only have to produce it and you'll get the views.
Yep.
Think about it kind of like a vending machine that's full of $100 bills that cost $20 to use it. How many times are you going to want to use that machine?
Yep.
That's essentially what we're doing. We consistently, and if you go to a website, you'll see case study after case study where people doubled their sales, tripled their sales, quadrupled, doing nothing differently but replacing the creative. But you've got to have a sales funnel on the back end and a budget to fuel these ads. Now you will get some organic views. I'd say maybe 5 to 10% of our views are from shares and likes and organic reach, but it's not the lion's share. However, 5 to 10% of a campaign that's about to hit 100 million views, that's still 10 million free views. Who wouldn't like that? So anyway, as long as we establish that we're talking about a business here, money in, money out. So our goal is to do it at a fraction of the cost of these other bigger agencies, but it's still money in, money out. So we have 8 steps that we take every project through that we've ever taken on. And the majority of these clients are B2C e-commerce plays, but some of them are B2B lead generation campaigns. It really doesn't matter who your audience is. As long as they're a human, they have emotions, we can connect to that. So there are 8 steps that basically go from the research, understanding who your customer is. You would never write a letter to somebody and then decide who you're going to address it to. But so many businesses do that. They think they know who they're talking to without ever really doing the research. So make sure you understand who it is you're talking to. And then we build the story around that person that has a problem that's relatable. And then we make it as entertaining as we can. And again, I won't go through all of the 8 steps in detail, but they are, doing your research, then brainstorming as many ideas as you can. The worse, the better. Don't judge them. Just throw out, 50 or so ideas for, here's the character and here's the problem that they have. And you can have so much fun going into rat holes. Then eventually we pare it down to our 5 top and we present those to our clients. Together we come up with the top concept. And then step 3 is to start the script writing. And I always tell people, out of these 8 steps, there's 2 of them that you should never try to do yourself. Scripting and the acting. So make sure that you find people that are good at these things, and you'll get a video that is going to perform better than what you're currently running. But you don't have to, spend millions of dollars like some of these other ads. You can do a lot of it yourself if you know, these steps and how to break it down. So again, I go through this in my ebook, but going through the scripting, you got to look at the marketing copy points. What are the big things that your customers need to know in order to make a decision? Maybe what are some of the objections that you need to overcome? And then making it funny is a whole nother section, but it's basically finding people who are skilled, not in marketing, but in comedy. So I reach out to people on Fiverr or comedians that I see at comedy clubs or on YouTube. And a lot of these are, starving artists that don't have big time-consuming day jobs during the day because they're traveling to the next gig. So I hire them, and we typically will have close to 10 people on each script that have been reviewed and has given a bunch of different ideas. So step 4, once you've got your script, is adding the comedy. Step 5 is the production, so the filming. But more important than the filming is the casting. I mentioned earlier, picking the right actors who can take a great script and bring it to life. On the subject of production, if you really want a scroll stopper, which is what our videos are intended to do, you got to look different than anything else that's on that person's timeline. So the more money you can invest in a really good production crew that knows what they're doing and how to create images that don't look like they were filmed on your iPhone like everyone else's, then the more disruptive it will be. But you also got to think about the first 5 to 10 seconds of your video. That's the most important part, or else people just aren't going to stop and watch. So we come up with the most outlandish ways to grab your attention. we shot a video last week for True Earth, the laundry detergent that's our biggest client as far as the success of their campaign. And the first 5 seconds of one of these videos, we have a kid hanging upside down in a tree with his kid brother underneath him lighting a bonfire. Who's not going to stop there? So these are the kinds of really out there ideas that you have to do to stop people from scrolling. So step 6 is the editing. You got to make sure that you keep your videos fast paced. Now that doesn't mean short. A lot of people kind of do a double take when I tell them our average video is 3.5 to 4 minutes long. Now, people don't stop watching a video because it's long. They stop watching because they get bored. They stop watching because it's not relevant to them. They stop watching because it's not connecting with them. So if you've done the right research, you're telling a story that's relevant, you've got a creative character that's going to connect with people, and you're going to be able to keep that attention long enough to give them more information, which will ultimately lead to higher sales conversions. Again, it's not about making this funny, it's about making it sell. And the more you tell, the more you'll sell. And so the longer you can actually keep them on your video, the higher the chance of conversion. So editing, keeping it fast paced, snappy, there's all sorts of, so step 7 is testing. We create multiple versions of our videos. So that video I mentioned with the kids in the tree, that was one version of 3 different opening hooks that we filmed. And we'll test them. We'll do an ABC test to see which one has the better watch through rate, which one has the better conversion rate. So before you spend a lot of money on one version of the video, you've tested to see which one do people like the best. We'll also do multiple offers. We'll film the same video with 3 different offers. One could be buy one, get one free. One could be get 50% off. One could be something else. And then you test those. We do a long version and a short version of each video. We'll do multiple versions sometimes. So the more you can test, and actually in YouTube and a lot of the other platforms, you can even see a retention curve of where you're losing people. You can go back into the video and edit out parts that seemed boring or confusing. So anyway, I could talk forever on each of these steps. Feel free to ask additional questions when I'm done. But step 8 is once you've got that video, once you've tested it and it's ready to launch, make sure that you realize that you've only done 50% of the work to this point. With advertising, you've got the creative and then you've got the execution and deployment of that creative. So making sure that you align either with the team or that you have the right in-house people who understand how to not waste that click. Because our job is simply to get cold traffic to say, yes, I want to go to the next step. Let me click below. But what happens after that is a whole nother art form that we partner up with other agencies who are very skilled at doing that. So understanding that it's not about just creating a video and making it go viral, but creating a video that gets 50% of the journey and then making sure that there's a right, sales page that's optimized to convert that click into whatever it is that your end goal is. So that's a very long-winded way of answering your question, but those are the 8 steps, and that's in our ebook that anyone can download from our website.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was really good. Lots of nuggets in there, so to speak. I loved how you talked about, hiring multiple people to help with the scripting and help with the humor, because you're right. I mean, that iteration process is so important. Probably your first idea is going to be a million miles away from your last idea.
Oh, yeah.
And after you really iterate it and work it through and brainstorm it, you're going to end up at a completely different level and probably much funnier than where you originally started.
Totally. Think about the TV show Millionaire, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? What's the most effective lifeline? Always the wisdom of the crowd. Ask the audience. You're always going to get a better idea or a better result in whatever it is. But in this case, if I'm writing the script and I don't bring anyone else in, that script is never going to be as good as if I bring in 10 different people and say, beat it up. What don't you like? What isn't funny? What isn't connecting? And so bringing in the crowd, and that also brings up another point. we want to test this at every step with as many people as we can. So looking at your customer avatar, you want to say, how can I get buy-off from my customers before I even send it out? Because you may think that's a funny joke, but if you're you and I are probably in the 40s, white males living in America. Well, if our demographic is teenage girls, we're going to laugh at very different things than they are. So bringing in people that are the customer avatar and testing at every stage is only going to help your results.
That's awesome. So what's a typical funny video project cost? Right, I'm working with you guys versus, like you said, your goal is to make it as affordable as possible. Then you got like these huge Hollywood companies. I can only imagine the range, but can you give us some ideas on production costs and what this process actually takes to get done?
Yes. So, I mean, the process, we've never done a video in less than 3 months. So the
Wow.
process is typically 3 to 4 months from, hey, we want to do one of these to it's ready to launch. And, we've got 20 plus people working on your project. A lot of people are just dumbfounded when they find out that a lot of these bigger videos cost over $1 million to produce. And that's publicly been stated many places. And we basically said, how do we do that at a fraction of the cost? So I can't give you a specific number because every project is going to be different.
Of
But
course.
it's a fraction of that, tens of thousands of dollars, as opposed to hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But then again, what you should be looking at is, if I'm spending money right now, let's just use round numbers. Let's say I'm spending $10,000 a month on Facebook ads, and I'm getting a return on my ad spend of 1.5. Well, if a video like this could double your return on ad spend, how quickly are you going to recover that money? We have a client who made more sales in 24 hours of launching our video to more than pay for our video 4 times over. So it's all about return. If you're not spending any money on advertising and you don't have the budget, this may not be something that makes sense for you. Having said that, I do have one client who's a one-man band, working from home, selling a product, and within a year, he was consistently doubling his sales compared to where he was before he came to us. So it just depends on how complex the script is we come up with. But
Sure.
generally, it's affordable for anyone who's serious about advertising.
That's awesome. And what type of companies or businesses do you find that these videos work for, or work best for, or don't work for?
I always say a funny sales video is only good if your customer is a human and has emotions. Because it really doesn't matter. If you're B2B, B2C, you're still talking to humans. The key is making the story relevant to the problem that person has. Whether it's somebody who is a SaaS executive that has very complex problems and you're selling a software, we can talk specifically to that person. Or if we're selling acne cream to teenagers, as long as it's relevant and it makes sense and it furthers a sale, there is no company or industry that we specialize in. I mean, obviously, if you're an e-commerce brand that's selling product online, you're going to be able to measure it much, much easier.
Yeah, for sure.
But the other thing is we often see results outside of the pixel, right? So your audience are probably very familiar with tracking their results.
Right.
Well, True Earth, the laundry detergent that I mentioned, before we launched our campaign, they were trying to get into some big box retailers that just wouldn't take their calls. Well, after we launched the campaign, we had tens of millions of people watching these videos. They started coming into these brick and mortar stores saying, "Where's your True Earth?" And their buyers then started calling True Earth and saying, "We want to now sell your product." So it's a ripple effect. It's not just the immediate sales that you track.
Sure.
It's building a brand.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think the ripple effect is so true. You're building the brand, but also, I mean, yes, it's for video, but in the long run, it's going to work outside of video as well. So I'll never forget in Florida, it's just so hot, right? All the time. It's like, summer year round, it's just so freaking hot. So I remember the first time I saw on a billboard, I saw this hilarious billboard ad. And to this day, like, I think it's the only like funny billboard I've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
And it says like, your wife's hot. And it's a picture of this girl like this in front of a fan. And she's like dripping sweat. And it's like, get your AC repaired. And I just like, I laughed at it. And I laugh every time I go past it. And I think about it. And, nobody else that I see is really using comedy, offline either. Right? If you look at all the media out there and all the advertisements, I think that, whatever you guys do for a company, building a funny video, you could take elements of that and it could just be, a billboard or a static ad or something else.
So we actually did that. Well, I say we, our client.
A few moments later. One hour later.
Hey, Joseph, I lost you.
Eventually.
All right, so we lost Joseph, but not to fret. He gave us a ton of actionable nuggets and takeaways. And I thought what would be cool is while I'm still here, I'm still recording, I still got time, was to think about how this could work for you. Let's say you're a digital marketing agency, right? You want to write a funny ad to attract your ideal client. So following Joseph's 8-step process, what we're going to do is research and discovery, and we're going to figure out who our avatar is, who are we talking to, what would they find funny. We then do a brainstorming exercise, right, to come up with a bunch of ideas. We then would have, according to Joseph, somebody help us with the scripting. He says you don't do that. And then you also don't actually do the production. So in between there, we would hire some people from stand-up comedy or people on Fiverr that are really funny to look at our script and help us implement some humor into it. We would, continue to brainstorm and improvise, and then we would move to production, and then finally editing and testing. So Joseph dropped some bombs in there, right? That you want that to kind of be an iterative testing, but also you really want to have multiple people give you feedback on the script to add in your humor. So thinking about this as an agency, if you're going to go after whatever niche, let's say that you're going to go after insurance. I just got an insurance bill. Let's say that you're going to go after local insurance carriers. You're going to help them get clients in their local market. Your ad, to be funny, could be talking to them about how marketers, us agency owners, are trying to peddle everything, and you could be like the guys in Vegas trying to give them tickets and put stuff in their hand, or you could be like a drug dealer, with all this stuff. Hey, you want to buy this? You want to buy that? I got this for sale. Whatever. You could come up with a bunch of different ideas, right, to make it funny to them, right? But at the end of the day, I do think that humor is key, right? At the end of the day, people are going to YouTube, they're going to Facebook, they're going wherever that we're putting the ad in front of them, and we are interrupting them. We have to take ownership of that and give somebody a good experience with the advertising, right? And we know that that's going to lead to better CPMs. That's going to lead to better costs. And there's no reason that we shouldn't be doing it. We know that if we get a bunch of negative feedback, the ad's going to be crazy expensive to run, or it's not going to run at all. So I just want to say thank you, Joseph, for coming on the show, man. Absolutely loved all of your takeaways. We'll be sure to link you up in your ebook in the notes below. And if you got a hefty budget, you're looking for somebody that can help you with some video, you spend some good money on advertising already, I definitely think that it would be smart to reach out to Joseph and ask him for some feedback, ask him for some advice, and see if his company or he can't help you as well along this process. And I hope you guys enjoyed this slightly modified episode of Show Me the Nuggets. Sayonara, everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks for tuning in to Show Me the Nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.